Hey, this is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is the Expecting Aerials podcast, now with the Digit Network. Thanks so much for tuning in. I cannot believe this, but this is season 5. So thanks to you. This is a thriving podcast, reaching the corners of the world, all the women out there, and I'm so excited and proud to be with you. All right, super excited because I am launching a new podcast with my 2 co-hosts, Noah Dock and Amanda Ritchie. And we are going to be on this feed on Thursdays. It is called The Artist Entrepreneur. We are 3 aerialists and dancers navigating our businesses. And if you'd like to check that out, just check out your inbox on Thursdays. Also in partnership with Sweet Retreats, I'm so excited to be hosting an intermediate aerial dance retreat June 21st through the 28th. Still have some spots available. Please check out the show notes for that. Roll it out every Tuesday and Thursday. Of course, my comprehensive course for those who want to train on their own or you have spotty access to instructors. It's beginner to intermediate, fully online. And then, of course, aerial rehab, postpartum, post-injury, meant to be the bridge between PT and your favorite aerial class. Of course, I'm teaching all over the place this year, Texas, heading back to LA, Ohio, and of course, Oaxaca in June. Let's get started. Well, hello, boss.
Hello.
Don't boss my mommy.
I've only had 2 aerial bosses, and I've been 2 for 2. Doing good. Lucky ducky I am. Dara Minkin.
Carrie Weir.
Hello. So you guys are listening to my new boss, who is the co-owner of the Aerium here in San Antonio. Hey, don't touch any of my wires. It's all together with Scotch tape. Okay, listen.
Yep, I'm held together with yoga blocks.
Bye.
There we go. That's better than Scotch tape. Okay, so for our listeners, if you would just introduce yourself, a little bit about your aerial practice, a little bit about your life, and then I'm going to jump in. I want to hear about this book, and I want to get into your brain a little because I don't understand that brain of yours.
Well, my name is Dara Minkin, and I'm known as Aerial Design on Instagram. I've been doing aerial for 12 years, and I've been addicted to theory the whole time. I wrote a book about theory, and now I have a school.
Yeah. So my introduction into San Antonio aerial is very interesting because I feel like it is budding. It's like little beautiful buds on a tree. There's so many little buds, but they have so much potential. That's how I see the city.
Indeed. The city took a long time to open up to me.
Yeah, but you're not from here. You're from New Mexico, am I right?
I am, and I've been here for 6 years.
So you were coaxed here to San Antonio, and then you moved here. What made you say, okay, I'm going to try out San Antonio?
Well, Julia coaxed me. Julia Langenberg, I met her in Monterrey, Mexico at the Air Festival 8 years ago, alongside Brandon Scott and a bunch of other really amazing aerialists. And she offered me the job during our very first conversation. We fell in love with each other instantaneously. Well, I had offers from Phoenix and Detroit, and I was just waiting for the universal serendipitous alignment to say, okay, yes, this is the next right path for me. So it took me a year to accept her offer, but I did. And then we did a trial, and all of the students wooed me.
Because they wanted you there.
They really wanted me, and yeah, they coaxed me, wined and dined me.
So it was effortless to move your aerial world here. Would you say that kind of? I mean, aerial's very efforty, but yeah.
It was all in alignment. My aerial students back home in Albuquerque, they knew that I needed to grow and change, and I also knew that that they were going to be fine with the aerial community that's still there and is still blossoming. And I'm really proud of them. I miss them a lot. Yeah, my dad helped me, Julia helped me, and I saved for it. And then I worked at Aerial Horizon for a year and a half before COVID happened.
Yeah, and then everything changed. So I feel like it was very serendipitous the way I came to you, because I had known of you through Rachel and Brett over at the Loft because of Silk Stars. And then I interviewed Claudia for this podcast about being an aerial mom. And then I reached out to you and we met. And now I am teaching at your studio. And I see you every week. And it's a beautiful studio. It's a beautiful clientele. And what I hear out of your class, because I'll be there before her class and I'll listen to her teach, and she'll be like, take the pole and wipe it up your butt with the bear claw, and then the opposite pole into this pole into the tail. And I'm like, what in the heck is she even talking about? And I have to say, there are very few aerial teachers that I feel like are in my brain where I'm like, wow, I have no idea, because there's kind of a genius there that I don't really know what's cooking. And I wanted to ask you all about it, and how did you come up with the style that you're teaching? I mean, kind of like how, like the source of like the inspiration for the book and the technique that the book is about. If you could explain it to me.
That's like 3 questions in one. Well, the first question is about the way that I teach and how I arrived at the way that I teach. Well, I went to college for contemporary dance. I studied pedagogy. I also thought I was going to be a math major. So I have half of a math degree. I went up to calculus 3. And what I learned from calculus is that everything was a lot about rotating volumes. And when I found aerial, I really wanted to understand what the rotating volume was. And that's what I based the book on. But it took me 2 years to understand what the rotating volume looked like. And at first I believed it was a sphere.
Can you define rotating volume?
Yes. So what it is how many times can an object be rotated on an apparatus? And, we have all of these connection points of our body on the apparatus. And, we've got hip hang, back balance, front balance, hip key, neck hang, armpit hang, elbow hang. We have many different types of knee hooks, ankle hangs, and many types of ways to connect the foot onto the apparatus. I really wanted to understand how that system worked. And so I tried to do them in all of these rotating shapes. And I thought that they were initially all spheres. However, for each joint area. But what I learned is that it's actually the human body. The volume is the human body. The rotating shape is us. So essentially, we're a star-shaped figure with a tree trunk and 5 limbs. And each joint configuration can be analyzed by rotating it in all of the different planes. And gravity plays a direct relationship to how the weight is going to be held in the most ideal position. The book is a study of it's a 3-dimensional study of the pelvis rotating through space. in the sagittal, horizontal, and vertical plane, as well as a few of the cardinal planes, which are the diagonal planes. So one of my areas of interest is in naming every single facet. I'm using the word facet like a diamond. A diamond has all these little chiseled facets on it, and you can rest the diamond on each one of them as it's rotating. It's a shelf. Some people use that word shelf in aerial, like, okay, well, if you want to put something on a shelf, it has to be horizontal to gravity, and that's kind of the same concept. So, the body has to be in a specific position to easily, quote, easily hold those positions. So I named every single one of them, and that's how I developed my vocabulary for teaching. So the vocabulary doesn't change. I never use different words for the same. I rarely use different words for the same facet. And I try to teach my students to understand where all of those facets are, how they work, and what their ranges are. Because, you can be in a stratolip in a sling with it on your back and then have a multitude of shapes that can still exist in that one facet.
How does that, and you're mostly on silks. You're on rope sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've also done trapeze, hand-to-hand on trapeze, straps, sling.
Okay, yes, straps. How does this, so draw the line between this theory and then the silks?
Okay. So once we analyze the body and how the facets work, the facets are the same on every apparatus. What changes is the apparatus and how the apparatus moves or doesn't move around our body. To me, I consider the rope a single noodle, and the fabric is a study of two noodles, and the sling is the study of the upside down hanging noodle, and the lyra is the study of the circle, which is on it's a very different type of apparatus because it has a horizontal and vertical component to it that the fabric doesn't have. And it's kind of, anyway, it's similar to a lot of subjects in math about the graph of the circle it's like the linear and the circular. They're two different languages. Anyway, so fabric, once you get through all of the facets and you apply the facets to the fabric, then you can start analyzing how the two noodles can relate to the body. And the two noodles on a fabric can be one noodle as well as two. And the fabric can also be a sling. Each one of those setups can be analyzed separately with how the fabric is entering and exiting the body. And I categorize all of those situations into, and we call them wraps generally. All the wraps can be analyzed and then separated by type of wrap and then relationships.
Okay, so do you know anybody who thinks about silks the way you do? Because I don't.
Yes. Well, Rebecca Leach does.
Okay. Okay.
She does have. She and I have very similar ideas, yet very different, and different methodologies, different languages, but similar, very similar concepts. I believe Rain Anya does.
Okay.
Brennan Figari.
Okay.
Anna Sison.
Oh, Anna, Arrow House
photographer. Yes.
Arrow House. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I've just never had anybody explain this mathing to me, because when I'm watching them, I can see So you're such a creator. And am I right to say that like fires you up?
Yes.
Okay. When you're in there, are you a blank slate? Are you often doing what we all do and borrow little tidbits and little inspirations from other people on Instagram and kind of just like grow your own tree from that seed? Or do you go in there a lot with just blank slate because you dreamt up a shape the night before? Like what's going on in your brain?
Well, all of the above. Recently since I work in a group now, I'm not creating things alone currently. I'm working with a handful of training partners on aerial theory. We've been going since COVID, and they were my advanced students at Aerial Horizon, and then we became training partners. I'm still leading it. They still pay me, but I lead essentially an aerial theory class for them on Mondays and Fridays, and we often do a game where someone starts with one move, and then we have two primary games at the moment. One of the games is one person makes one move at a time, and we go in a circle. And sometimes I ask them to come up with 3 options for that move, 3 possibilities, and then we choose one. And then there will be a point during that game which we get to maybe there's about 3 moves, and then we move into the possibilities stage, because we don't know what the best resolution will be. So that's one game, and then another game that we play is a longer version of that, more like possibilities, but we start with one move, and then we let one person exhaust the entire sequence. But we're going in a circle, so we watch each other, and as we're exhausting the sequence, there might be 5 different sequences happening all at the same time, and then they slowly morph into one sequence. Once we find the one that's like, aha, this is interesting. This has an element of something I've never seen before.
And so when you say exhaust it, you mean like, okay, this is possible because of gravity. This is impossible because of the pole is limiting you in this way. Is that what you mean?
Either that we, usually it's by the time that we get to the ground, if we're starting the sequence at the top of the fabric and then it ends by the time we're getting to the bottom, or if it just seems like, oh, this is a good place to just climb again in order to do something else.
Okay.
Or like, let's just say, a lot of sequences end with back balance.
Yeah.
or at some point we just see the right moment for the dismount.
Okay. When you are kind of birthing a new drop, I'm not one to birth drops. Mm-hmm. That's not my jam. How do you do it? Like, because whoever birthed a double star is a genius to me. Because you kind of have to have a little bit of balls and you walk it down. But it's like reverse engineering stuff. How do you do it? How do you birth a drop safely?
Well, this is also an answer to the previous question, which is Barbie. I think a lot of people know that I work with a Barbie. I work at a Barbie for my theory work, as well as teaching, as well as creating moves and testing drops. So I'll usually test something with Barbie first, just to see, where the stress is and where the tension needs to be. And then I'll start walking it down, and then I'll drop it in spurts. So, a lot of the drops that I create now have 6 components to them of changing body parts. And so I'll drop each one separately and stop. And then I might start melding a couple of them and each one is kind of an organic experience depending on it. And then I start trying to smooth them out until it looks like a single drop, but essentially it's 6 mini drops.
Well, Dara was trying to explain something to me. I had like one question for her a couple weeks ago, or however long ago. It was like adding an extra salto to this drop I already knew. And she's like, so that's actually 4 cues. So is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Like to do the drop, you have to do the 4 cues, or else you'll you're not going to land in the right place, or you're going to fall out,
yes,
or you're going to get stuck halfway, something like that.
Yes. Okay,
so for listeners who like have seen your stuff and all the things, if they grab your book, how might that help them either understand what you're doing or be able to create stuff themselves? Like, how is it functional for the aerialist out there in the world?
Well, the book teaches how to be aerodynamic.
Okay.
For aerialists. And it teaches the technique that's required to be the sharpest tool in the air. And it takes a lot of repetition and a lot of coordination. So, before we even start getting to complicated sequencing, we really want to get our body under control, all of our limbs. We want to get our feet, knees, hips, abs, shoulders, elbows, and our hands and our head under control before we start doing complex sequencing, which is essentially called technique, aerial technique. Or some people would call it aerial ballet. But the book is teaching technique simultaneously with theory. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Okay, so in essence, kind of, it's like the way I like to roll. Like, okay, you guys have to be able to do the basic foundational things before you can create, before you can do advanced. I mean, it's just bottom line, right? Okay, I want to pivot to your studio. So you've told me in the past that you opened a studio because you wanted somewhere where you could train, first and foremost. What is your overall experience of being a studio owner? It's a trick question, maybe.
Trick question.
Yeah.
I feel like I am the CPU of the school. I don't like to say that I'm my student's mother at all. So I'm not saying that, but I'm saying as a woman that I am this open vessel for the studio's existence. And it's exhausting.
You guys, just FYI, the month that I decided to drop on Dara's doorstep, I think I gave her a pretty stressful month. But hopefully that is kind of dissipated by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the carry stress.
I mean, seasons, they come and go. I mean, there's moments of stress and then there's moments of rest. And
we have a show coming up and it'll happen again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That
is business. And I make sure to schedule in my rest, and sometimes the rest doesn't come as soon as I want. But, I would say the studio has been a blessing, and I'm really honored to have been present at that moment in time when there was a need for me to take over, and that I was trusted by the students to lead them to a new space. And I think that Claudia and I have really done a service to the aerial community here. I know that there's other schools and, they're servicing their community, and, it's all for love. And aerial is an art form that's rather pointless. It's for the sake of beauty and pain and pleasure and adrenaline. but it doesn't serve a greater purpose than pleasure and joy and love.
Yeah, so it needs to stay in that realm. Exactly. Oh man, it's like I talk to a lot of studio owners on here, and it's just such a mixed bag because there's just not enough juice to squeeze, especially at the beginning when it comes to like all the work that it takes and all the dedication and just like the growing needs of, it's a beautiful population that you end up growing. So I love watching Rachel and Brett do it, and I kind of love watching. Maybe that's because I'm a sadist and love watch it.
Girl, I'm a sadist too.
Yeah. And okay, so what's the most rewarding part of this job, and then what is the hardest part?
The student showcases. Well, we actually call them studio showcases.
Okay.
I would say that the high of doing those shows is incredible. Being there at the end when we're all on stage bowing for the audience, like, makes me really tear. I mean, the creation aspect of it, the joy of seeing all of the students posting their photos and videos on Instagram for a month afterwards. All of the conversations that we have after for the next month they just make me so happy. And it's got to be the most exhilarating part.
I'm so excited to be a part of it. It's coming up March 14th.
I'm excited. I mean, also I would say that training is definitely one of the biggest highlights, and that I get to train with such talented aerialists week in and week out. I've given them a home and us a home, and the friendship, the deep friendship that we have cultivated out of that time together is invaluable, and it's very precious to me, and I do not take that for granted.
Oh, I love it.
The hardest thing again is, I guess, being the open vessel for it, that it's a constant responsibility. There's no off switch. I have to create space from the studio in order to protect my sanity and turn off. I have to be responsible for turning off the task switch, which is very difficult when the tasks never stop. We're very lucky to have our student base, and we've always been able to make ends meet, but the just being able to make a living is, we are still growing the studio, and I gotta say my daily mantra of that I'm grateful for everything that I have.
That's part of what I hope to alleviate a little bit, because if you have teachers in there just churning it out, which is what I plan to do. So what are for yourself, your long-term goals for the studio, for the success of the book? Like, what is like the cake and the cherry on top? What is that for you?
I have a whole laundry list of things, of hopes and dreams.
Yes.
I don't know what order that they will arrive in. And I also see that, that there's going to be a lot of growth that needs to happen on a lot of different levels
for those goals to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, for example,
I guess I need to find a way to recuperate my creative energy while being a business owner. And I haven't figured out how to do that. I think that the answer is delegate, delegate, delegate. And that is a slow burn process. And a lot of the people that I look up to on a business level, they say that the best kind of growth is slow growth. And so that's what I'm doing. But I'm working towards being able to elevate my creative time and less admin.
Yeah, I mean, different situation, but because the things that suck up my time, are my kid.
Yeah.
But I'm probably operating currently on about 5% creative right now. And it's like, you and I are not similar in that way. Like, I don't actually thrive in that creative space the way you might think every creative thrives in a creative space. Like, you definitely like maybe want to spend more time in that room than I do on a general basis. But I really want to get back into that space. And a lot of moms, like my friends who are moms who are also creatives, are just like, well, it's just going to be a 5-year gap or something like that, because that's what it's actually turned into. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I am creative in other ways, not necessarily in the air. Like, I feel like with the podcast, for example, I get to be creative in a way that kind of feeds it a little bit. But so where are you at right now? Do you feel like what creative consumes what percentage right now for you? If it's 5% for me,
I would say that I'm at a 15 to 20% right now, which is, I think, higher than what most people get.
Before you were probably higher than that.
I was. And the studio just sucked it up. I mean, in my life, I consider that I've had 2 children, and the first one was the book, and the second one is the studio. And, as you said, a child requires about the first 5 years of a lot of giving.
Yeah.
Different, and for different purposes. But, I have been able to maintain my autonomy a bit, as an artist and an athlete. But not as much as I would like. And definitely I haven't been able to start another book yet. and that is one of my goals, is to either start a book or start an app. We kind of got sidetracked, but and I don't know if this will happen, but I've been meditating on what is a goal that's worth a lifetime. And I want to create a performing arts school with a theater that's kind of like a mini college department with multiple rooms and a theater inside.
Oh, so like a physical space.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine doing it in Texas here in Texas? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Is this home to you now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I've married it. I think but putting my roots down with the studio is definitely an engagement.
Yeah, you're for sure engaged.
But and I have a business wifey.
You do have a business wife.
And we have a car. Our scissor lift, we consider that. We consider that our car. And we have a bank account. So, what is marriage other than sharing the bank account?
Shared assets, pretty much.
I want the universe to inform my decisions. and that it works both ways. It's a playful give and take of opportunities presenting themselves, as well as my own desire and creative force. And but I don't like to tell the universe how something is going to turn out, because I think oftentimes better things happen when I'm not controlling it. So I'm open.
Dara, are you going in for training today?
No. Oh wait, no, because Thursdays have turned into my admin day.
Oh, okay.
For the time being. I realized that I have a lot to do that I need to catch up on, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it except take a day away from the studio.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I mean, you're the reason why I felt, I think I've said this a million times in podcasts, but maybe not to you, to your face. Like, you're the reason why I felt like okay moving here, because I don't need an apparatus and four walls. Some people do only need that, or some people just need an apparatus, period. They don't even need four walls. But for me, I'm too used to having a talented and high-level community around me. It is something that I've become accustomed to, and I am not. I don't want to not have that. And the thought of going somewhere, Corpus Christi was kind of floated, the idea of Corpus Christi. And I would have been like the person, and I would have had to build it from the ground up, and then just been all by my lonesome on an aerial island. And that makes scary.
And I'm naked.
No, here, put your outfit on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's a scary thing. And I know a lot of my listeners. Stop. I know a lot of my listeners out there do contend with that, and they're out in the middle of the Netherlands or pick a country, and they've got their rig outside, and they have to connect the people online, and it's doable, but it's not the best. And even though you and I haven't had the time because of our lives are crazy to get in there to train, we will at some point.
We will, and
Yeah.
we're investing in it.
Yes.
We are.
Yes,
and
we are investing
we're also
in it.
laying the foundation for that to happen. And I'm definitely all about the long game, strategizing for long-term goals as well as short-term.
Long term, it is all about, and studio owners out there know this. For me too, it's just like, as long as the potential is there for what I consider like super robust clientele, and I'm excited about the apparatuses I'm teaching. I'm excited about the levels I'm teaching. They work with my schedule. It's such a big deal for if you're a mom without any support, like family support in where I live. Like, I don't have that. It's me and my partner. We high five. We tag. You're it, and it just makes it so hard. So I really my friends in LA know. I was like, oh my God, I found this, and
You guys don't play tag.
it's a beautiful stop. It's a beautiful community with potential, and it's perfect for me, and it was a godsend. So that's how I feel about you and Claudia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And, we feel so honored that you want to come be at our studio. And, I definitely feel like we're, in the desert also of aerialists, and, it's lonely. Ronery.
Yeah, even the small times that I was in there with you and Yamiza, who is the other super professional amongst us, it just feels like you're with your people, and there's a lot of potential. That somebody has an idea that we haven't even gone to, but we will when we have time. And so if you have any advice for aerialists out there who are trying to expand their practice, who get stuck maybe in the creative process, do you have any advice for those people?
Buy a Barbie.
Buy a Barbie. But if they don't have a brain like yours, how do they start cultivating a brain like yours?
Honestly, the way that it happened for me, I don't want to preach about Barbie, but I'm gonna. I taught Barbie every move that I know, and which, I talk about her like she's a real person, and it could be a boy Barbie or a G.I. Joe or a Gumby, but being able to see the wraps outside of yourself is really important for your own internal learning. Repetition is really important. Learning things on both sides is really important. Taking time to go to open studios if you can. The reason that I like Barbie is because you can practice in your mind without having to physically do it. So there, when you're starting out for the first couple of years, it can balance out the physical exhaustion with the desire to understand what you're doing. I also suggest buying my book because it's all about technique and how to improve holding positions with, ergonomic ease, taking classes from professionals. And if you can't, possibly having private lessons with professionals through FaceTime, Zoom, etc.
Dara, I know that you teach your students here. Are you available?
I'm not
for Zoom?
I'm not, but I would like to. I am possibly gearing up to start doing advanced theory tutorials. I have beginner. On my website, aerialdesign.co, I have beginner tutorials, beginner 1, beginner 2 tutorials on there. There's 12 different videos that are available individually.
Yeah. And you're on...
And there's a lot of people available. There are a lot of people who do online privates. I just don't have time for it with the studio.
Yeah, I do online privates, you guys.
Oh, Carrie does online privates.
Okay, well, seeing that Dara is in close proximity to me, we might be hearing from her again on podcast. So,
I love that.
Yes. All right. Well, Dara, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carrie.
My listeners, if you would honor me with a 5-star rating and a review, I would appreciate it forever. It is the hardest thing about being a podcaster is to get your podcast out to the people who want to listen. So the best way to do that is to have a good star rating and just ride that algorithm. So I really appreciate if you guys would just open the Apple app and leave me a review. It makes such a difference. I appreciate you. I also have Greener Grass with Digitant Podcasts with my friend Kelly McVeigh. If you want to hear my voice twice a week, it's there for you. It's light, it's heartfelt, and we bring on some really amazing guests. All right, my friends, over and out. This is Carrie from Wrap Your Head Around Silks. This is The Expecting Aerialist.